Good morning, students. Let's move on to the module 2, that is discussing the JavaScript. Okay, first of all, we have to know about what is JavaScript and what is the use of JavaScript and what is the history behind the JavaScript and some applications of JavaScript. Okay, let's move on. First of all, we have what is JavaScript. Okay, actually, we have already know that JavaScript is a language or any language. What is the use? What does it use? For web developing. For web developing. So we can say that JavaScript is comparatively a lightweight programming language and a cross-platform programming language and also interpreted scripting language. So we can programming language is not suits for JavaScript. We can use another word, that is scripting language. So it is considered as a script. Okay, JavaScript is a lightweight cross-platform. Cross-platform means it can be worked in any platform and interpreted scripting language. Who is the interpreter behind who is the interpreter of JavaScript? Obviously, it is browser. Okay, and it is well known for the development of web pages. Many non-browser environment also use it. Okay, web browser യൂസ് ചെയ്തിട്ട് നമുക്ക് എന്ത് ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റുമായിരുന്നു, ഇൻ്റർപ്രറ്റ് ചെയ്യാമായിരുന്നു. ആൻഡ് ഓൾസോ വി ക്യാൻ യൂസ് നോൺ ബ്രൗസർ എൻവയോൺമെൻറ്റ്സ്. Okay, mainly it is the users are focused on web pages, and JavaScript can be used for client-side development as well as server-side development. Mainly it is focused on this client side. And in these days we can use for, and it is well equipped for used as a server-side scripting language. Okay, JavaScript contains standard library of objects like array and date and math and core set of language elements like operator, console structures and statements. So in any programming, സാധാരണ ഒരു പ്രോഗ്രാമിംഗ് ലാംഗ്വേജിൽ ഉണ്ടാവുന്ന എല്ലാ തരത്തിലുള്ള പ്രോപ്പർട്ടീസും അതുപോലെ സ്റ്റാൻഡേർഡ് ലൈബ്രറിയും നമുക്ക് ജാവാസ്ക്രിപ്റ്റിലും അവൈലബിൾ ആണ്. How we can use JavaScript in client side, how we can use JavaScript in server side. It supplies objects to control a browser and its document object model. We will discuss more about document object model in upcoming classes. Use libraries for client side. Here mainly the client side libraries are AngularJS, React.js, Vue.js and so many others. So you have to note that these useful libraries are more enough to create a client side developing. Okay, and server side, it supplies objects relevant to running JavaScript on a server, and the useful framework which is most famous for these days for server side developing, that is Node.js. So you have to note that Node.js. Okay, then we will check the history of JavaScript. Okay, we can say Mosaic is a language that is launched, and Escape Navigator launched. Then in the 1995, Brenton Itch designed JavaScript within 10 days. Okay, and it will become EMEA script, and EMEA script 2 is released, and then EMEA script 3 is released on 1999. Then there is a break, and in 2006 there is Ajax and jQuery is added, popularized, and we can use Ajax and jQuery combinedly with the JavaScript to make the websites more dynamic. Okay, we can create active websites using Ajax and also jQuery. Then EMEA script 5 was released, and 2015 EMEA script 6 is released, and at the 2017 onwards the JavaScript become the most useful language in client side and as well as server side developing. Okay, this you have to note this history. Then let's check features of JavaScript. JavaScript is created in this first place for DOM manipulation. So DOM is document object model. We can study in for next classes. And functions in JS are objects, and we can here we have use functions, and each function is considered as object. They may have properties and methods just like another object. They can be passed as arguments in other functions. So we can use functions as what? Objects. And we can handle date and time, and we can perform form validation, although the forms are created using HTML. We can input this JavaScript in what? HTML page, and no compiler is needed. Any other external compiler is needed for JavaScript. And according to a recent survey conducted on Stack Overflow, JavaScript is the most popular language on the earth. Okay. Then what are the applications of JavaScript? There is so many applications of JavaScript is there, and web applications, web developing, mobile applications, game development, presentation and slideshows, and server application, web servers, display date and time, client side validation, display pop-up windows and dialog boxes, animation. For animation we can use JavaScript, dynamic drop-down menus. For dynamic drop-down menus, we can use JavaScript. So many uses of what? JavaScripts are there. Then mainly web application. In web application means in the Google Maps. In each day or each places, we will get a particular map. Okay, in Google Maps, the main backbone of the Google Map application or soft application is JavaScript. Okay, then web development. JavaScript helps us to execute complex actions and also enables interaction of website with visitors. Mainly the JavaScript is focused on making dynamic and active websites. So every user or visitors can easily access or communicate with the the websites. So it is also possible to load content in a website without loading web page. Okay. Mobile application. In mobile application we can use what? JavaScript, and powerful tool for creating mobile application. Here React Native is the widely used JavaScript framework for creating mobile application. You have to note that React.js. Here we are using React Native. That is the widely used JavaScript framework for mobile application. And in the games we are used game engines are there. JavaScript game engines are such as physics.js, fizzy.js help us to create web game, and we can also use WebGL, that is web graphics library, which is the JavaScript API to render 2D and 3D images on browser. So we can create games. Okay, there are JavaScript game engine such as physics.js and fizzy.js, and also there is a WebGL, that is web graphics library, and which is a API, JavaScript API, application program interface as API, and to render 2D images and 3D images web browsers render ചെയ്യാൻ വേണ്ടി യൂസ് ചെയ്യുന്ന ഒരു JavaScript API ആണ് what? WebGL. Okay, and physics.js and fizzy.js are game engines of JavaScript, and React Native is widely used JavaScript framework for what? Mobile applications. Okay, then coming to, we can create presentations. Okay, I have presentation and also slideshows. So we can use here some libraries are there. The reveal.js is used to create interactive and beautiful slide desk on with the help of HTML. Okay, reveal.js is used for presentation, and bespoke.js is include animated bullet list, responsive scaling, and a wide variety of features. So we can add more features on the slides, use bespoke.js. Okay, so you have to note it about reveal.js and bespoke.js. Then you can use for server applications. JavaScript used to generate content and handle HTTP requests, and JavaScript can also run servers through Node.js. We have already know that Node.js is responsible for server-side scripting. Okay, and web server can be created by using Node.js. Okay, this also, and some artists and designers can create whatever they want using JavaScript to draw on HTML5 canvas. Okay, there we have a effective, so I can use, there is another library that is p5.js. So for artists and designers, they can draw anything in HTML5 canvas using the library called p5.js. And in machine learning, we will use what JavaScript. There is a library called ML. This is machine learning. ML5 is .js is the library for web development by using machine learning. Okay, these are all about the applications of JavaScript. So you have to go through the slides and video and not prepare your own notes. And thank you.